Today we're mixing up the formula ever so slightly. We've done a lot of Nuzlocks recently on the channel where we limit the types that we can catch. There's going to be no limitation of the types we can catch today because there are going to be no types at all for the Pokémon. We are going to be doing a typeless Nuzlocke. Now what does that mean in practice? It means that there's going to be no stab and there's going to be no type charts. Now while every single Pokémon will have their typing removed, the moves themselves will still keep their types. That's so that we can deal both physical and special damage. But like I mentioned earlier, we're not going to be seeing stab and we're not going to be having any type matchups whatsoever. That means that Pokemon that could be a little bit naff in a Nuzlocke normally because they've got a 4x weakness could end up being a very, very good Pokemon for a Nuzlocke. Now I think we're going to go for Chikorita as our starter. That's mostly because at the start of a Johto Nuzlocke, Chikorita really does get screwed over, so I'm hoping that having all the types removed will mean that Chikorita can at least have something going for it. Now if we check the typing here, we can see that Chikorita has the typeless type. That's going to be the same for every single Pokemon we encounter on this Nuzlocke. The overlay will still show the grass type because it pulls the data from elsewhere, but in-game every single Pokemon will have that typeless type, so it doesn't matter who we catch, that's the only thing that will show there. Now that's quite enough waffling and intro for one Nuzlocke. Let's get ourselves underway. I'm sure we'll get to grips with it as we get through the course of this Nuzlocke. And I do just want to say I'm still feeling fairly unwell. I'm trying my best to make my voice sound as good as possible. However, there may be a few voice cracks and a few croaks here and there, especially because this one is a live voiceover. I'm going to get myself over to Mr. Pokemon's house now, and I will meet you when we are ready to take on the first rival battle. The rival will be very interesting actually thinking about it, because we're not going to be weak to him, so he's going to have the Cyndaquil line, but we're not going to have to worry about type matchups. So let's now take on the rival in battle for the first time. I'm hoping this will be a fairly simple affair. He's going to send out Cyndaquil. Cyndaquil uses Leer, but we do have a fair amount of bulk behind us. We're just going to hope that we don't get crit just like what happened there. Still just about scraped through though. We'll get the heal after this battle. And we'll start making our way back to the Pokemon lab. Let's make sure we picked up that berry as well. Berries I think are going to be very important in this early part of the Nuzlocke. So we'll now get back into the lab, we'll call the rival triple question mark as we always do, and then the Nuzlocke will be underway. Of course we have to chat to Professor Elm as well. The aide will give us the Pokeballs and that's when the challenge will officially begin. I say that, that's not actually how it works in this particular Nuzlocke patch. It's actually this dude here, the catching tutorial dude, that kicks everything into gear. And it looks like our first encounter and our first Nuzlocke encounter is going to be a Sentret. Sentret's very good normally, but I think the lack of normal type might work against it because of course we're not going to have normal type stab. So we will call this one Fairy for Fairy, the Furrets that we had in our challenge run many moons ago. And now we will go and grab Pokeballs before going on to Route 46. So I'll grab some balls and I'll meet you when we're there. Right, balls successfully grabbed, let's get our second encounter. And it's going to be a Geodude. If we use Tackle against this Geodude, you can see it's still got very high physical defense, but it's not being resisted. That could prove to be incredibly handy, you know, because suddenly Geodude is not going to be weak to water or grass. We're going to call this one Rocky, because I think it's going to be a bit of a solid rock of the team, and hopefully by calling it Rocky, it will still think it's defensive like a rock. You may have noticed, by the way, we've added a couple of new symbols onto the encounter table, so now if the Pokemon is a valid encounter, it will have a circle on the left hand side. If it's a duplicate encounter, it will have the I letter, and if it's a route you've exhausted, it will have the cross as it did before. So our third encounter is going to be a Caterpie. We didn't knock it out, thank goodness for that. And again, Butterfree could be very handy. No type weaknesses, and now it's going to, of course, have all of the status moves, and those status moves can affect every single Pokemon of every single type. So we are slowly starting to build up our team. It's not necessarily a cohesive team, but it is our team. And we're going to go and get our next Pokemon up on Route 31. I've set the time to night so that we can try and force the Zubat encounter because if we can force a Zubat encounter on Route 31, then we stand a very good chance of being able to get either Dunsparce or Teddiursa in the Dark Cave, and I think both of those Pokemon could be a very, very good shout. Razeleaf running neutral on Caterpie is always going to be great, especially with the critical hit chance. So let's get ourselves onto 31 and see what we get. And of course, the first thing we get is pestered by the mum. We don't want to save our money, we're just going to go straight onto the route and see what our encounter is. We got nothing in that first patch of grass, what are we going to get in this patch of grass here? And the answer is a Poliwag. I'm not going to complain about that, Poliwag is a very good Pokemon. We will have other chances to get Zubat, so we're going to avoid the Dark Cave for now, and we're going to come back to it a little bit later on. Now we've got our Poliwag, and of course Poliwhirl did very, very well in its in the middle challenge. So I think we're going to call this one Whirly instead of Swirly, if I can spell it, and then we will make our way into Violet City. I think we can get a Ghastly encounter if we go into the Dark Tower. The Sprout Tower rather. We'll have a little think about that, and we'll see what we want to do next. Now, I've done a little bit of thinking, and I think what we're going to do is we're going to grab some more Pokeballs from the mart. We'll get our encounter on Route 36, I want to say, just to our west. And then we'll get everyone up to level 9, and we'll go and take on Falconer. One of the interesting things about this particular Nuzlocke is we're not going to be worrying about crossovers with types. Every single Pokemon is going to have some benefits to bring to the table, so we don't need to strategically cross off as many encounters as we otherwise would in a regular Nuzlocke. So we've now got Hooty the Hoothoot. We'll go now into the Pokemon Center, we'll do another unnecessary heal, and we'll get everyone up to level 9. Rita's already there. Fairy is joining, and in this one I'm deciding to use the Candy Jar straight off the bat. I think because this is going to be one where we're in for the long haul, I want to save as much time as possible. Especially because we're not going to have to worry about those type matchups with Falconer. We are of course going to be seeing Metapod now instead of Caterpie. We'll get Harden there. That would be great in Generation 1 for a Nuzlocke with a badge boost glitch. I'm learning all about that now. And Hypnosis could be a very handy move as well. Foresight could be interesting, although not that useful in this particular Nuzlocke. But I think it still has some accuracy benefits. So now let's take on Falconer and we'll see how we get on. This is something you don't see every day. We're in a hardcore Nuzlocke and we're leading with a grass type. We'll use Razeleaf, critical hits very nice there, but Mudslap is a little bit pesky. We'll finish it off with a tackle and we'll swap into Whirly, I think, for the Pidgeotto. Gust does a fair amount, but we've sent it to sleep. If we swap back now into Rita, we are of course going to be back at full accuracy. It's a long sleep for this Pidgeotto as well. Gust did a fair amount there. And Razeleaf isn't doing as much as I'd hoped. Hopefully we can get a crit, and hopefully we'll be able to knock it out. There we go. Not the worst situation in the world, and that is our first badge all obtained. And now that we have the Zephyr badge, of course, our level cap is going to increase up to 16. That means we can straight away use the Candy Jar. We are going to get everyone up to 16 right now. There's no sense in waiting around. Poison Powder, that could be interesting. We will get rid of Growl. We're never going to use Growl. I think Poison Powder is going to be better than Stun Spore. It's goodbye to Chikorita and hello to Bayleaf. Do we get anything else interesting in the next few levels? Hopefully we do. I do like leveling up on camera. I think we're going to get another evolution. So that is Furret. Furret is a very good Pokemon. I really like Furret, and we now have a lot of base speed to work with. We'll get Fairy up to 16 because we missed that one there. Magnitude's going to be a fun move. And of course we are going to be saying goodbye to Metapod and hello to Butterfree. Butterfree without a 4x weakness is going to be a very powerful Pokemon. It's not that slow either. We've already got String Shot, Poison Powder on something else rather. I think we will learn Stun Spore though. That could be good for Miltank. So we're going to get rid of String Shot there in place of Stun Spore. Sleep Powder, we've already got Hypnosis. I know that Sleep Powder's a better move, but for some reason I always prefer Hypnosis, even though it's just all around a bad move in comparison. Do you get like that? Are you ever one of those people who superstitiously keeps a move over a better move? Because I definitely am. It's something that I was guilty of in my early challenge runs. And not so much these days, but definitely very early on. I would keep a move because in my head it was just a very good move. Now, we are going to get the Togepi egg. Once again, we're going to ignore it for this particular Nuzlocke, because I cannot be bothered with friendship evolutions. They are my least favourite mechanic in Generation 2. So I tell you what, I will get myself out of here and we'll make our way towards Azalea Town. Now, before we head into Azalea, we are going to very quickly cross our Ghastly encounter off on Sprague Tower. The only two Pokemon available in here are Ghastly and Rattata. We can get Rattata on many routes, and Ghastly's available on the next route as well. So if we get our Ghastly here, we stand a much better chance of getting a better Pokemon, or should I say a different Pokemon, on the next route. So we have been sent to sleep. We're just going to chuck a Pokeball and hope for the best. I don't think Ghastly is going to be too much of a threat. There we go, we've caught it. We will call this one, I don't know what to call it. We'll call it Orb because it looks like an orb. And now we will start heading towards Azalea Town. I promise that we're getting out of Violet. Let's see what we get as our Route 32 encounter. Hopefully it'll be something interesting. We know we're not going to get Ghastly, and we've already crossed Hootoots off the list. And it had to happen eventually, didn't it? Here is our rat. We've not yet seen a Rattata. Kind of amazed by that. But we will have to cross the rat off on this particular route. Not going to bother in weakening it because it is a very high catch rate. We'll call this Ratty and we'll start carrying on further south to see what we get in the Union Cave. So let's now head into Union Cave. We're going to keep it at night and we'll see what we get. I think our two options are either going to be Zubat or Wooper. I think the Wooper is going to be more likely than the Zubat, but both of them are very interesting Pokemon. I think Wooper will have the edge over Zubat just in terms of pure move power, but Zubat is not a bad Pokemon. There we go, there's the Wooper. We will just chuck a Great Ball and hope for the best. There we go, first ball for Whoopie the Wooper. I'm now going to get out of this cave and I'll meet you on the other side. So now we are through the other side of Dark Cave. Let's see what our encounter here is on Route 33. This is probably the most pathetic route in all of Johto, so it does kind of make sense that we get a not so great Pokemon on this route. Hoppip, I've got to be honest, it's not the best. Even losing its 4 times weakness to ice, I don't think it's going to be a star player. We are going to pick it up just because we have to. We'll call it Hoppy. I know a few people are going to be very happy about that. And then we can also go into Slowpoke well. High chance of a Zubat here. There's also the possibility of a Slowpoke, but it's very rare to get encounters here in the well. We've got ourselves Zubat. We had to get it eventually. We are going to try and get this one crossed off the list. There we go. First ball for Batty. Or should we call it Batter the Zubat? And from there, we can go into Bugsy's gym next, because I have already done all the plot line. I managed to get some smooth editing in there, so let's now take on Bugsy. Now, I'm not sure who we're going to lead with for this gym. I think maybe Whirly, because we've got a special move on Whirly, and Whirly will probably do a little bit better against both the Metapod and the Kakuna. They both have very high physical defense. They've got high special defense as well, but of course Harden doesn't work for special defense. We're through Metapod. Kakuna's next. We'll try sending it to sleep. 2 turns we've missed, 3 turns we've missed, 4 turns we've missed, 5 turns we've missed. There we go. Hypnosis is not a good move. Should have gone for Sleep Powder all this time. Of course, we can't use our Confusion on our Butterfree there for super effective damage. Send the Scyther to sleep. We'll see how much Water Gun does here. Not a lot. This bloody Bugsy is turning out to be a very difficult battle. Let's try M Magnitude, see how much this does. Magnitude 8, still not much. Goodness me. Just gotta hope for a very long nap. There we go. Through this battle now. Bugsy, you were a little bit tougher than I thought, but we now have the Hive badge. That means the level cap is going up to 20 and I can take a sip of drink. The one downside of doing live voiceover is that I can't do a retake if my voice gets a little bit hoarse like that. Let's get everyone up to 20 now, and then we'll take on the second rival battle. Hopefully this rival battle will be fairly simple. Can't see too many issues, and then we'll have lots more encounters as well. I think Bugsy is definitely going to be the harder of the 2 battles. Supersonic could be interesting. Let's get rid of Harden there. Gonna keep Tackle because it's a half-decent physical move for Butterfree. Level 20 on Rita, still no evolution there, of course, because it's in the 30s for Meganium. But we do get our Noctowl. Right, it's time to heal, and then we'll take on Rival number 2. Now, I'm not foreseeing too many issues here at Rival 2. I think the fact that we don't have anything weak to any of his Pokemon is instantly going to make this a much easier battle. We have been sent to sleep, which is a little bit annoying. We're going to swap back into Rita. Rita has been the MVP so far, and a lot of that is because Razorleaf has a high critical hit chance. We are paralysed now, which isn't great, and Razorleaf misses, which is even worse. Out comes Zubat. Parafusion would be terrible, but we are just going to keep persevering. There's the critical hit that we were after. Ember's going to do next to nothing. We've got bulk for days. So even with all that nonsense with being paralysed, we still had a very easy Rival 2. And that does of course mean we're going to get our next encounter in the Ilex Forest. I wonder what it'll be. Plenty of Pokemon are the options here, and we've got an Oddish. Interesting, we're going to use a couple of bubbles here. Try and get it down without knocking it out entirely. Of course it does have a drinking move. We are down to just regular Pokeballs. We do have our Oddish though. We are going to call this one Oddish just because it is one of our favourite people on the channel, Oddish, who pops into chat. So we're going to keep this as an Oddish all the way through. We've got choices with that actually. We could either get a Blossom later, or we could get a Vileplume. I'll have to try and remember which of those two is Oddish's favourite. Got a little bit of traversing to do now though, so I'll meet you when we're out the other side of the forest. Now this is normally where I'd say our next encounter is a guaranteed Abra, but of course we're playing on the Nuzlocke base, and we have found ourselves a Jigglypuff. Bags of HP, not much else going for this Pokemon. Just about keep it alive there for us to throw a Pokeball at it. Not sure what we're going to call this one. Let's call it Jiggles. Doubt we're going to be seeing it though. Jigglypuff and even Wigglytuff are not good Pokemon. So we'll get this, we'll put it in the box, and then we've got some more stuff we need to get on with in Goldenrod City. Could have had a Ditto here, that would have been really interesting, but no. Instead we get Jiggles the Jigglypuff, Pokemon I'm not particularly happy about. So let's now do a heal, and then we will have a look at going north to get our next encounter, and then we'll take on Whitney. So there are two more potential encounters we can get before we take on Whitney, but we've been Juggler Irwined. Really don't like getting Juggler Irwined, should be a very easy battle. And then we'll take on the encounter on this route, so then we'll go into the National Park and see what we get in there as well. Hopefully we'll get something interesting from National Park. I've set it to morning, on the off chance that we might see something like a Sunkern. What are we getting on this route? Oh Christ, a bloody Snubble. Not a big fan of the Snubble line, I've got to be honest. Never been a Pokemon for me. Even Gramble has massive attack, but it's just a bit mid, isn't it? In fact, that's what we're going to call it. We're going to call it mid. And then we'll go into National Park. We're going to grab the Quickie Sea. I think that's going to be very, very important. And then we'll see what our encounter is. Hopefully we don't get Pokefan Beverly'd. Already been Juggler Irwined, and we are getting a Nidoran female. Probably not the best Pokemon. Gonna use a few tackles to get this thing down. I would have rather have had either a Sunkern or a Nidoking, but we are getting a Nidoran female eventually, when it gets in the ball. Not the best catch rate on Nidoran female, unfortunately. And I don't like how its gender icon displays twice. Right, we will call this thing Queen, because it will eventually be a Queen. Hopefully we won't have any more misspellings on the nickname list. I'm sure you've seen that Whirly's nickname is slightly wrong. And now we've procrastinated for long enough. It's time that we take on Whitney. Again, this is one of those battles. Every time we do a Nuzlocke, I just dread it. So we'll see how we get on this time. I've learnt my lesson from the Fire-type Nuzlocke. Had a couple of throat sweets, rehydrated. Let's try and get this battle done. It's not going to be a pleasant one. We can at least get through the Clefairy. The Miltank is going to be the issue. We'll send it to sleep and probably then send out a Rita. Rita's probably got the best chance of getting through with a high crit chance of Razorleaf, but even that isn't doing much on its own, is it? Goodness me. Rollout misses, that is good. Let us think we want to try and incapacitate this a little bit more. Goodness me, a critical hit there is terrible. That has really thrown a spanner in the works. Let's lose, unfortunately, Marge. I was trying to go for the Parafusion there, didn't quite work out. Let's just try and get a critical hit to win. I was digging in there. We did unfortunately lose Marge, but we got through a little bit quicker than I thought. So that is our first loss of the Nuzlocke. Kind of sad about losing Butterfree. I'm sure we can pick up another one later on if we want to, though. If we get a route where we've got no other encounters, we will get Marge number 2. But for now, Marge, you've been fantastic. You did one thing, which is what you needed to do, and we'll see you very soon. Now, I think the first thing we're going to do here in Ecruteak is we're going to get everybody up to level 25. After that, we'll get our catches, and then we'll have a little look at the team, and maybe chop and change things ever so slightly. Before we do that, though, we're going to say goodbye to Poliwag and hello to Poliwhirl. Very nice evolution there. I don't think Fairy's going to get anything interesting. Maybe at 25? Nope. How about Rocky? Self-destructs? Absolutely not. We don't want to go boom in this one. We might put explosion on this thing. It's also goodbye to Geodude and hello to Graveler. We'll be able to get an item after the radio tower to evolve that into Golem. It's going to be 25 for Hootie, where we're going to get Reflect. I think Reflect could be a very useful move. Get rid of Foresight there, because Foresight isn't that handy. And then we'll also get Rita up. Synthesis? Absolutely, yes please. I think Synthesis could prove to be very useful as well. Now, we've got a few encounters we can get before we take on the third rival battle. We're going to start here on Route 38, and we'll see what we get in this patch of grass. We're getting a Tauros. Tauros is a very good Pokemon. We'll send it to sleep, and then we will use a water gun or two. Tauros, even without the normal type backing it up, I think could still be a very, very good Pokemon. It's a shame we don't have, I think it's the level ball, or the heavy ball in Generation 2 that's glitched, because that would almost guarantee the catch, but we did get it. We're going to call it Bully, and then we can move on to a Route 39, I want to say, and get our encounter over there as well. Just got to dodge a couple of spinners, and it's going to be on to Route 39. We can get a Miltank along with Tauros, so let's see what we get now. Now, I seem to remember it takes a very long time to get encounters on this route, so this would be the perfect time to try out the honey jar. Let's see, we get a Miltank first try, perfect. Well, we've got to send this thing to sleep, and then we've got to try and hope for the best. Miltank's catch rate is absolutely abysmal. Don't want to risk any more than that. Let's send it to sleep, and then let's just hope that the Great Balls do their thing here. Where are they? There they are. Let's see, do we get the Miltank on the first ball? No, we don't. Let's try again, shall we? Hopefully ball number 2 will do it instead. Yes, it does. We've got Whitney. We've got our milk cow. Very happy about that. Let's call her Whitney. We might actually put both Miltank and Tauros on the team. So we'll get... I've done it again. Excuse me, I need to rewind. Let's put the N in her name. There we go. Whitney the Miltank. It's the only time you'll see me use rewind on this particular one in battle. It's just because of my constant misspellings. Definitely don't want to be having Whitey the Miltank. But with that, we've now got 2 of our encounters. So we're going to get the fishing rod, and we're going to try and get another Pokemon as well. I think we'll go into the harbour here. I'd quite like to get a Krabby, you know. So let us register the good rod just for a moment and see how long it takes us to get our encounter here. Let's see what we're getting. We're getting a Chinchou. Interesting, that's a challenge run coming up very soon. We did, of course, see Chinchou fairly recently in our Water-type Nuzlocke. That is part of the reason, and our Electric-type Nuzlocke, actually, so that's part of the reason why we're going to be doing the challenge run with Chinchou. Now, we're going to call this one Chinners, and I don't think we'll be seeing much of it, honestly. We've already seen Chinchou quite a fair bit with its challenge run coming up. This one's definitely going to be on the sub-bench. So let's now head back to the Pokemon Center, and we'll take a look at our team and see where we want to go from here. Now, the way I see it, we've got a couple of Pokemon we can deposit at the moment. Fairy isn't doing too much right now, but might be handy later. So I'm going to box her to make sure that we don't lose her. I'm also going to box Rocky for now as well. We're going to get out our Miltank now, our Whitney. We'll get Whitney and our Tauros, I've forgotten what we called our Tauros, up to a level 25. And then we will, of course, go towards the Lake of Rage, because that's where our next encounter is going to be. Milk Drink, absolutely yes please. I think Milk Drink will be a very handy move if we do get caught in a little bit of a pinch, because of course it's free healing in battle. Of course, we called it Bully for our Tauros. How could I have forgotten that? Tauros is a fairly quick Pokemon that can do decent damage, and Rage is a very, very handy move to have, especially because it can keep building up and up. But for now, let's get ourselves Surf, and we'll see what we can get towards the Lake of Rage. Already battled the Kimono Girls, we just need to get ourselves the HM. That will be going instantly on to our Poliwhirl. I don't think I'm going to teach it to either Tauros or Miltank, just because they don't have particularly good special attack. So we'll say goodbye to Water Gun, hello to Surf in its place. That is of course a nice base 95 power move. No stab, but we don't really mind when it's such a powerful move for early on in game. Now we've already got a Rattata, so that's not going to be our Mount Mortar encounter. In fact, I'm not sure we get anything new unless we go for Marill. So we might hold on to this one for a little bit later. Oh, of course, we get Machop. I forgot about that. Kind of feel bad for forgetting about Machop. But we will catch one nonetheless. Hopefully it will be a very easy catch. First ball, never going to complain about that. We will call this one Big Sue because it's a female Machop. And I think Big Sue fits her kind of well. So she will be going in the party at least temporarily. And honestly, I've never really played with a Machamp. Apart from in the challenge run, we get ourselves an Arbok on the next route. We're going to use a single headbutt, we'll use another Great Ball here, and then we're going to have yet more encounters as we head further and further north. And just before we go on to Route 43, I'm going to very quickly deposit Big Sue, and then we are going to take out our Rattata, just so that we can evolve it, so that we don't have to worry about getting Raticate on the next route. We played a very risky game on the route where Miltank was. Now, I don't particularly want Rattata on the team. I have Rattata on my parties all the time when I can. And part of this one is trying to play a little bit differently. Trying to have Pokemon that we wouldn't normally see in a Nuzlocke. So we'll just get it up to evolution level, and then we'll put it straight back in the box. That means that the Nuzlocke tracker will be clever enough to know that we have a Raticate. So we can then deposit that, and we'll now head on to route number 43. So let's now see what we get on this route. Hopefully it'll be something fun. We've already got a Centric, we've already got a Furret. I think it might be Pidgeotto or Farfetch'd we've got here. Let's use a headbutt on this thing, take it into the yellow, we'll try and send it to sleep. Should hopefully be a fairly easy catch. Doubt we're going to see Pidgeotto on the team, but it's still a very nice Pokemon to see in general. That is, if it catches, there we go. We'll catch our Pidgeotto, we'll give it the name Pidge, and then we'll head back to the Pokemon Center, probably put Big Sue back on the team, and then it'll be time to take on the third rival battle. So let's now deposit our Pidge, and we'll say hello once again to Big Sue. So it was short but sweet for Pidge. We'll get Big Sue back in its place, and Big Sue has reminded me there's something I want to do for an upcoming version of the Nuzlocke patch. I'm going to completely rework how the genders worked out. There is some space we can make in the Pokemon data structure. And what we can do is we can just have a number rolled from 0 through to 7, and that will determine the gender depending on the different gender ratio. It's going to be a little bit of effort to code, so it might not happen anytime soon, but that is the plan. Anyway, now it's time to head into the Burnt Tower, and we will take on the rival for a third time. Now, honestly, I can't see this one being too tricky. One thing to note is, even though all Pokemon are typeless, Curse will still work as normal for Ghost types. I've hard-coded that in as an override. We're going to use Rain Dance, and then we're going to use Surf. The AI does mean, actually, that he's less likely to use Curse than normal, but that's just one of the quirks, I think, of this particular patch. The Rain has stopped, but Surf is still doing very, very well here. It's not going to be super effective against Quilava, but it's still going to be a 3-shot. And that was a very, very simple rival battle. So let's fall through the floor, and I'll meet you for Morty. Morty's going to be interesting, you know, because of the way the types are hard-coded in. It does mean that Curse is slightly less likely to come up, but it still can't screw us over. We're going to try using Headbutt against the Ghastly. This is something we don't see every day. It's 2-shot on the Ghastly, we're going to outspeed the Haunter, and we flinch it. I don't think we've ever flinched that Haunter before. And we can flinch the Gengar as well. Goodness me, look at this. This is a very easy battle. I feel very bad for Morty there, not being able to be immune to the Headbutt move. So we've got ourselves our next badge and we're going to move on straight away to Chuck. And of course, before taking on Chuck, we are going to get everyone up to the new level cap. So let us open up the candy jar and we'll get everybody up to level 30. Is Whitney going to learn anything? The answer is no. What about Hootie? Hootie doesn't get anything before level 30 either. Moving on to Rita. I don't know if Chikorita evolves at level 30. We're about to find out. No, it must be one of the later ones. Pursuit, no thank you. Not going to be useful on Bully whatsoever. We've got Whitney and Big Sue left to go. I wonder if Big Sue's going to evolve. I really should know all of these evolution levels by now, but it just doesn't stick in my brain. Let's see, does Big Sue evolve before level 30? The answer is yes. If you're curious, level 28 is when a Machop evolves into a Machoke. With that, we are pretty much ready for the Chuck battle. Think we're going to lead with Bully, and we'll see how this one goes. There's no time like the present. I'm really hoping that our high attack will make the numbers here. Hopefully we'll outspeed Primeape as well to begin with. We do. Horn Attack does an awful lot actually, and of course Karate Chop's not going to be super effective. Horn Attack doesn't do too much against the Poliwrath though. We haven't been sent to sleep yet. Dynamic Punch does confuse. Gonna risk it. Very nice. Well done, Bully. Storm Badge acquired. And now we've got that bloody Team Rocket section. So I tell you what, let's head over to the lake. We'll catch ourselves the red Gyarados. We'll put Whirly up front for this one. And then we shall move on to the price battle. Because absolutely nothing of interest is going to happen in the Rocket section. And honestly, I'm not too bothered if we catch this thing or not. Just going to use Headbutt a couple of times, hope it flinches, then we'll try sending it to sleep. Hopefully we don't get Dragon Rage, that's going to be the big threat here. Got some more Great Balls just in case. Let's see, do we catch it? Or are we going to have to knock it out? We're going to try with all 9 Great Balls as long as it stays asleep. There we go, we've got Gary the Gyarados. I can't believe it's 21 feet tall, I've only just noticed that in its Dex entry. That is massive. And here he is, there's Lance the Liar. Goodbye Lance, we'll go to Mahogany, but we are not doing the Rocket section. That is absolutely not a thing that we are going to do. I wasn't lying when I said we're going to do Price next and skip the Rocket section. Let's get everyone up to 31 while we're at it. Body Slam, yes please, that's going to be a very good move. We're going to get rid of Poison Powder. Don't think Poison Powder is going to be useful at all, and I think actually, just to flex, we're going to be leading with Rita in the Ice-type gym, or what would have been the Ice-type gym anyway. So let's see how we get on now in battle against Price, our 6th gym leader. So let's see how this one goes. He's going to lead with Seal, of course. We're going to try Body Slamming and hope that we can get a paralysis off, at least on the Dugong. That will make this battle a lot easier. Critical hit there at the beginning is very nice. Hopefully we can knock it out. Still a fair amount of health for the Piloswine. We're going to try a Body Slam. We do get the paralysis off. That is pretty good. Mist we don't really care about. I am going to use a Synthesis as he uses a Hyper Potion there, so we're both doing a little bit of healing. But I think we should be absolutely fine now. We've been frozen though. Abandon that method. Abandon that. Let's just send out Bully. Bully with Horn Attack should be absolutely perfect for the rest of this one. There we go. Price, you gave me a little bit of a scare, but we were fine by the end. We get ourselves the Glacier Badge, let's move on to do Jasmine. Now, I reckon the play for Jasmine is to take advantage of her complete lack of special defense. Before we do that, though, we are going to get everybody up to level 35. Vital Throw, not a great move, so we're going to say no. It does, of course, always move last in Gen 2. Let's get Whitney up next. I don't think she's going to learn anything interesting. Rollout could be useful. We'll get rid of Growl. We're never going to see Growl in battle. Bully is the 3rd one up to 35. We're going in reverse order this time. Rest, absolutely not. Rest, even in these challenges, is still banned for me. I don't like Rest at all. Body Slam, absolutely yes, please. In place of Hypnosis. Hypnosis hasn't been great lately. We do, of course, have Hypnosis on Hootie as well. We're going to say no to Takedown because it is a terrible move. And then we've only got Rita after the Hoot Hoot. And Rita is going to evolve into Meganium at long last. I was a little bit fed up of having the mid-stage Evo for our starter. And with that, everybody is at 35. Let us now swap to Wily up front again so that we can do some rain dance shenanigans. I took a little bit of a break there, and I think we're just going to play for the flinch instead. Thunderbolt's still going to hit us very hard because we don't have much special defense. Through Magnemite number 1, here comes Magnemite number 2. We get the flinch, we can set up against this Steelix now. Let's set up the rain dance here. Iron Tail misses. Surf doesn't do that much, but we get another Iron Tail miss. That gets her set in her healing loop. And we win. Perfect. Jasmine all defeated. Let's now make our way into the Goldenrod Underground. It's now day 2 here on the Nuzlocke. I had a lovely little rest last night, and we're going in for rival number 4. My voice still isn't holding up. If anything, it's sounding worse today than it was in yesterday's recording session. But I'm actually feeling an awful lot better today. I don't know what's happened to my voice. I sound an awful lot worse than I am. So I'm hoping that it will hold up for the rest of this Nuzlocke. So once again, apologies if I do sound a little bit hoarse. We're through the first 2 Pokemon of the rival. We are going to have to switch now, though. I'm hoping for a curse here. Shadow Ball, absolutely fine. We'll use Razor Leaf. I am thinking, though, that Rita might get replaced, depending on who we catch on 44. Sneasel got no physical defense, I think, so we'll probably... Tell you what, why don't we say hello to Big Sue? We've not seen her for a bit. It's a shame that Sneasel isn't 4 times weak to fighting in this particular challenge, but we can still knock her out in, or knock him out, I should say, in 3 hits. We'll use Karate Chop now against Quilava. We are going to have to switch again. Into Bully we go. Flame Wheel doesn't burn. I reckon Bully could be a bit of an MVP, you know. There we go. Through the rival battle. That means we've got even more rockets left to come. I'll get through all of those and I'll meet you at the top of the radio tower. And now we have beaten up the last rocket. The director has come back to the top of the radio tower and we can get out of here. The rocket plotline is all over with until we get that one single rocket in the Kanto section. We're going to get the pink bow from Marie. We'll also pick up Sunny Day in case we need that later. Don't have any fire-type Pokemon at the moment though. While we're here, we'll get the radio card and then we'll do a little bit of retail therapy in Goldenrod Mart. Get some TMs, because I think they could come in very handy. Got the radio card, let's go into the Goldenrod Mart, and then we'll be going into the Mahogany Mart as well, straight afterwards. It's going to be up to this floor. Do we have return as a possibility? Yes, we do. And then we're just going to grab a few of each. We'll get 3 of those, 3 of those, 3 of those, and 3 of those. Don't need to get any Rock Smash TMs. Rock Smash is not a great move. I was just taking a break and rehydrating. I got Gina's phone number earlier and she's got a Leaf Stone for us. So we're not going to pick it up straight away because we don't have anything on the team that needs a Leaf Stone. However, that's good to know in case we get something like a Weeping Bell on Route 44. We are, however, going to go into this mart here, and we're going to buy the Evo Stone. This is going to let our Machoke evolve into Machamp. So we're going to do that straight away, I think. No sense in waiting around, so it's goodbye to Machoke, hello to Machamp. Very, very good Pokemon going into the league. It's a shame we don't get any setup moves, though. And now, while we're in the neighbourhood, we might as well get our Route 44 encounter. I'm hoping for something good. We've got Lickitung and we've got Tangela in this grass, neither of which is particularly a great mon. We'll have to see who we get. I did wear a repel there just to make sure that we didn't get any water encounters. Right, who are we going to get? We've got a Tangela. Not the best, not the worst. A lot of physical defense to give it its slight bit of credit. It can poison us though, which could be very frustrating trying to catch this thing. There we go, caught it on the second ball, not too terrible. We'll call this one Shoes, and then we will move on towards Blackthorn City. I have already been to Blackthorn City, so we can just fly straight over there. And the first thing we'll do is go into the mart, and we are going to buy some Ultra Balls. I am sick of this nonsense trying to catch Pokemon, so we're going to go for the best catch rate. And now we've got a couple more encounters we can get. I'm going to set the time to daytime, though, just so that we don't encounter either Fampi or Teddiursa, because both of those have the potential to flee, and I don't particularly fancy that. On this route, we're getting Gligar. It was kind of bound to happen, wasn't it? Gligar's not one of my favourites by a long stretch, as we saw in the challenge run. It's definitely better with age, but we will get our Gligar, we'll call it Wings, and then we'll go into the Dark Cave and see what we get there. Hopefully we get an Ursaring. Ursaring would be very, very powerful, and would be going straight on the team. So let's get our Lantern out. I'm fairly certain I got that yesterday. Yes, I did. And let's see what we get. We get the Ursaring. Nice. Got to catch it now. That's going to be a problem. Body Slam paralyzes. Lick paralyzes us back. We're just going to start yeeting Ultra Balls at this thing now. I really, really do like the Ursaring line. It's one of my all-time favourites. And it's a male Ursaring, which means we know for a fact it's got a half-decent, quite literally half-decent attack stat. Let's see, is it going to catch? I really hope it is. There we go. We have Bear. I think that means we win. Although this could be overconfidence. Let us now head back to Blackthorn and we'll have a proper assessment of the team. And we'll see who stays and who might get boxed for now. So realistically speaking, I think there are a few Pokemon on the team that aren't really going to serve great purpose going forward. One of them unfortunately is Rita. So we're going to put Rita in the box. We're also going to put Hootie in the box because Hootie doesn't have that good a moveset. And anybody else on the team, I think maybe Big Sue as well, just because she's not got a great attack DV. We're definitely having Bear on the team. We're going to, in its place, put Bully in the box, because I don't want to run all normal types. And then I think we're actually going to get Shoes out into the party. I've slagged it off enough that I think it deserves at least a chance to shine. We are going to get our Zubat out just to level it up to evolve into Golbat, so that we can then go into the Dark Cave and hope that we get preferably a Jinx, because I think Jinx has very good special attack, but we could maybe get a Swinub, Piloswine as well. We just want to block off the Golbat encounter there. And other than that, I don't think there's anyone on the party at the moment who can do anything particularly interesting. So I think we're just going to bring out Bully again. We're going to have 3 normal types on the team, but we don't have that much type diversity. There have been a couple of changes to the learn sets after we've leveled everybody up to 40. We decided to get rid of Headbutt on Poliwhirl in place of Ice Punch, and then I've also put Headbutt on our Tauros. Now we're in the Ice Path, we're going to go to the deepest, darkest bottom floor, and that's where we're going to try and get our next encounter. So let's now get ourselves onto that bottom floor, and we're going to use the Honey Jar, and we'll see who we end up getting. And our encounter for the bottom floor is a Jinx. Very nice. Let's see if we can catch her. Ice Punch freezes, that's a good start. How many Ultra Balls do we have? I chucked a Great Ball there by accident. We are going to go for the Ultra Balls. It's very weird seeing a frozen Jinx on screen, I've got to be honest. One of those things never thought I would see happen. Hopefully it will help with her catching. She doesn't have a great catch rate, unfortunately. I think actually in Generation 1 you couldn't catch her in the wild at all, could you? There we go, we have our Jinx. We're going to call her Meg after our most recent Jinx run. I think we called our last one Jinx. And she is definitely staying on the team. She has oodles of special attack. I mean, she'll go down to 1 physical hit, but she's got enough speed that I'm hoping that we won't actually get hit by any physical moves. So let's get her leveled up so that she's at level 40 alongside the rest of the team, and then we can think about going into our next gym together. So it's going to be a long road up to level 40. We are going to get Ice Punch, we'll get rid of Powder Snow there, and I will meet you at the end because this could take a little while. And there we go, Jinx is now level 40. Gina's got another call for us, I don't know what she's doing this time. Hope she's still got that Leaf Stone in case we do get a Leaf Stone Evo. But now it is time to go towards Claire. And with that, we're ready to go into Blackthorn Gym. We're not actually going to be leading with Poliwhirl for this battle. I think instead we're going to take out our Bear and have that as our lead. I think we should be able to outspeed her Dragonair. Of course, we're not going to have Stab on Headbutt, so that's not going to be as good as it could otherwise have been. But let's just see how this one goes. Had to take a quick rehydration break before facing her, because I have a feeling this could be a little bit of a war of attrition. We've already been Thunder Waved once, which isn't great, but it is a 2-shot. Hoping for a flinch. Got the Gen 2 miss, that's great. This is a very good start, but we are now paralysed. Probably going to have to switch for the Kingdra. Let's have a little try with Slash first. Yep, going to have to switch. Bully, it's time for you to do your thing. Let's see how much damage this does. Not a lot. She's locked into Hyper Beam now, though. So that does give us a free turn. She's not going to heal interesting. I was convinced she was going to heal. Unfortunately, we have lost Bully there. Let's see what Meg can do. Can Meg finish off with Ice Punch? Yes, she can. Very weird. I was fully expecting Claire to heal there. So unfortunately, we have lost another Pokemon. Quite a good one at that. I was really enjoying our Tauros. But at least we still have our bear. Let us, before we get the badge, say thank you to Tauros. You've been absolutely fantastic. But it's time for you to be subbed out for the rest of this challenge. I don't think we're going to bring anyone out in its place at the moment. Let's now go into the Dragon's Den and we will get ourselves Claire's badge. So let's now answer this little survey and we'll get the badge once and for all. It's going to be 11212 for the answers, as it always is, exactly the same as the radio card quiz. Claire comes in, she has a little surprised moment that we did actually pass the quiz that she's not been able to do because she's just that terrible. And then we will get our fresh level cap in preparation for the Pokemon League. We're going to be able to go all the way up to level 42, a whopping 2 levels difference. Let's get ourselves out of here and we'll regroup in preparation for the league. Now I think the key for the league is going to be setup and status. That's going to be our best way to get through there. We do get another encounter here in Tojo Falls. We're going to pick up the ladder here as well. In case you're wondering, the ladder is here because there's no room where the waterfall HM is. And we are getting a Goldeen. Doubt we're going to see much of Goldeen. We'll use Feint Attack, shouldn't knock it out. We will catch it just in case we need some fodder. I'm more interested on what we're going to get on routes 27 and 26 though. So there's a Goldeen. We could have had a Zubat. Obviously we've already caught one of those. And we've got caught by this trainer. So I'll skip ahead to after we've beaten her up. There we go, all defeated. We're going to plonk on another Repel now though. And what we will do is we'll use the Honey Jar when we're in the grass, just so that we don't get any of those pesky water encounters that we don't want. So let's see what we get this time. And we are encountering a Doduo. Doduo could be good, you know, but I'm not quite sure what we've got to weaken it. Maybe if we go into shoes, we can use something like Vine Whip. That takes it into the yellow. We can then use a sleep powder on it, send it to sleep, and we will try and catch this thing. Really think Tri-Attack could be very, very handy for this challenge. That 30% chance to status could be really, really good. We're gonna call this one Trio, and we shall move on towards the Pokemon League now. And of course, before we get to the league, we've got one more encounter. If I'm correct, I think the only thing we can find here is going to be a Ponyta. So we'll bring the Honey Jar up to top and we'll get our encounter. And there we go, it took a while, but we do finally have our Ponyta. Gonna use a couple of Feint Attacks on it and then we will use one of our last Ultra Balls. Shouldn't be too difficult to catch, I don't think. First ball for the Ponyta, we're gonna call this one Hans like we did on the previous one. And now we can head into Victory Road. I think we'll have another encounter in there and I wonder who we're gonna get. And the best way to find out is of course to use the Honey Jar once more. And our answer is an Onix. Kind of unexpected. Let's use a single Feint Attack there. Rock Throw, not a great move. Honestly, we're not going to be using Onix. We're just going to catch it so that we've got filler if we need it later. Onix really is not a good Pokemon in Generation 2. But we could look at evolving it into Steelix later. We will give it a name. We'll call it Snack. It's going to live in the box. Might use it for the red fight. Maybe not. No guarantees. And that is the box all filled up. Right, let us now take on the 5th and final rival battle. And I reckon for this one, Brute Force will be the way to go. I don't think there's any other decent strategy. He leads with Sneasel. We'll use Headbutt, we take it down in 2 shots. Up next is going to be Golbat, I think. Yep. Golbat Wing Attacks instead of confusing us, that's perfect, so we can 2-shot that. Third up is Magneton. What should we do for Magneton? We'll use Slash. Thunder Wave is a little bit terrible, let's just hope we don't get fully paralysed. We will have to swap now for the Haunter. We will swap, actually, you know, into Wily. Shadow Ball does next to nothing. Surf Crit Set does a lot of damage. Up next, Kadabra. We've got Body Slam, should go down in 1 or 2. Future Sight, absolutely meaningless. Last Pokemon's Typhlosion. We will start off with one of those. Future Sight did a lot more than I thought. Let us have a little think. Whitney, you might be the answer here. Stomp all over that thing. Flinch, please. Just do whatever you can to get through. There we go. I need to take a sip of drink. Goodness me, I can only apologise for the state of my voice in places today. I promise you I sound a lot worse than I feel. I actually feel a lot better than yesterday's recording session here, but my voice is just not catching up to how I feel. So let's now shimmy some Pokemon around. We're going to have to use the move Pokemon without mail, because of course we don't have any room in the box, so we'll put Goldeen in there. We are going to bring Trio out to the party, and we'll also put Hans up top there because Hans might be useful. And now we are ready to do our Pokemon League preparation. We'll heal up whether we need to or not. We'll buy a bunch of full restores, not just 4. We'll buy as many as we can afford, which I think is going to be 12. No, it's going to be 11, I can't do maths. So let's now get our Dodrio, or Doduo at the moment I should say, up to level 40. We'll get everyone else up to the level cap as well. Here's our evolution. And we are going to get Drill Peck, I think, in a moment. So that's going to be a very good move. Decent physical move for this part of the challenge. Although I can't quite remember whether the league has more specially defensive or physically defensive Pokemon. That's something we'll have to play it by ear with. I'm hoping that we get some good setup moves in the next 2 levels for all of the rest of these, because that is something we are sorely lacking at the moment. Body Slam, yes please, in place of Double Slap. Shoes, do you get growth yet? No, you don't. I really hope we've not missed out on growth on Shoes. I've purposely not looked up learn sets. But with that, we are ready to take on the league. I'm going to very quickly show you the stats on screen for all of our Pokemon. I'm not going to look at them. This is just for your benefit. So please do pause if you want to see the stats of all 6 of our Pokemon. It's something I don't like doing in Nuzlocke because I like to go in with just my gut instinct. So that should be all 6 Pokemon stats. And now we are ready to take on the league. I have done everything I can to try and help my voice hold up for this league. We're starting off with Will. He is of course a Psychic type specialist normally, who leads with Xatu. Didn't get Confuse Raid, which is interesting. Hopefully we don't get the Spadef drop. Jinx is second. We're going to have to swap probably into Whitney here. I've given Whitney Headbutt for this occasion, because that's going to do slightly more damage than a Stomp. I do also want to keep Stomp though for the Will battle. Up third is Executor. I don't know who to do for Executor. It's got quite high special attack. We could try flinching it, see if that does anything. Reflects, that's bad. Right, let us go into Wily here. Goodness me, that Psychic hit like an absolute truck. I think we're going to have to play for freeze on the Ice Punch here, and we get it! That's slightly less daunting now. We're going to use the Rain Dance. We're just going to try surfing this thing away now. Executor is such a huge threat. We've got Slowbro next. Let's use the Surface. He uses Amnesia. We'll go into Body Slam. Critical hit and the Paralysis. Psychic takes us down to 9. We're going to have to swap. I think Meg's going to be our best option to swap into here. Psychic hits fairly hard, but not overly hard, all things considered. I reckon, you know, Body Slam over a special move, I should say. We're on to Xatu. We're going to have to swap again. I think Trio's going to be our best option. Hope that we can get a status condition off with Tri-Attack, maybe. We've got a Burn. That's not great, but it might turn this into one-shot range. It does! There we go. Through Will. Sweet relief. We can move on to Koga. And just before battling Koga, we're going to get everybody up to level 44 now. Let's open up the candy jar. Let's feed it to our Pokemon once more. 44 for Bear, no new moves. Body Slam on Miltank. Ooh. I'm going to get rid of Headbutt. I know we only just taught Headbutt to Miltank, but Body Slam's great. Belly Drum is going to be game-changing. So much so that I'm actually going to get rid of Ice Punch here. Belly Drum means we can set up and sweep. Shoes doesn't get growth yet. I've got a horrible feeling, you know, we've missed out on growth on Shoes. Really hope we haven't. No new moves. And in fact, now we are going to move Wily up to top spot. And we're going to see how Koga goes. So there is no time like the present. Let's engage him in battle and hope that it's a fairly simple one. I'm going to try the Belly Drum sweeping strategy here. I think that's going to be our best option of getting through and hope we don't get hit too hard by Ariados. Body Slam misses, Spiderweb's fine. That should give us the in we need to hopefully sweep now. I don't want a tricky battle. Fortress, it's not going to have any resistances. It gets Body Slammed, it gets paralysed. That should be the big threat. Maybe Muck as well. Muck goes down in 1. Only got Crobat left. Double team is meaningless. We swept Koga, thank goodness for that. Up next is going to be Bruno. And of course, before we battle Bruno, it's candy jar time once more in the league, another 2 levels. Wiley gets up to 46, no new moves. Whitney gets up to 46, we've just learnt a new move on her. Bear doesn't get anything either, I don't think. Shoes, how about you? Growth, thank goodness for that. We are going to get rid of Vine Whip there. Growth and Mega Drain could be incredibly powerful, you know. Trio and Meg don't learn anything either. We are going to very quickly heal up our Wiley, and then we'll take on Bruno. Now, the sensible thing to do here would be to belly drum and sweep with our Poliwhirl. However, we've just seen that in a challenge run, and I can't let myself do that, so we're going to lead with Tangler. Let's see how it goes. Hopefully this isn't a mistake. I want to set up 6 growths and then see if Mega Drain can sweep. I think Tangler could be a very fun Pokemon for this particular battle, especially if we don't get crit. He's using Detect, that's 1 more, and then we should be able to Mega Drain from here. Let's see just how much or little this does. We're through the Hitmontop, back up to nearly full health. High Jump Kick does next to nothing. We're drinking away at Hitmonlee now. Mega Kick, Double Kick rather, is going to do nothing. Hitmonchan, do your worst. That's your worst. I'm very glad about that. We don't even need to worry about the burn, it seems. Onyx is next. Onyx uses Sandstorm. Sandstorm's actually going to hit the Machamp as well, but I'm hoping that a Mega Drain or 2 will be enough to knock this thing out. Thank goodness for Tangler's bulk. This has actually been a fairly fun battle, although we are going to have to swap out now because we've run out of power points. Who should we go for the last one? Who else has got a bit of bulk behind them? Probably Whitney. Cross Chop misses, Sandstorm rages, we should outspeed. We'll stomp it away in just 2 hits. There we go, Bruno all defeated. And we can move on to Karen. So we'll get everybody up to level 47 and then we shall try Karen. I've got a feeling, you know, that it might be another Whirly sweep with Karen. That could be the best play. So we'll get Whirly up into tippy top spots. First of all, no agility on our Dodrio. We're already fast enough. We're just going to hope we don't get confused. So this is Karen. She's our final league member. She would normally be a Dark-type specialist and she leads with Umbreon. We're going to use Belly Drum. We're going to hope that Feint Attack, perfect. That should hopefully mean we win now. She's gone for Mean Luck. I think that would be the hardest of all the Pokemon. We can one-shot Vileplume. Gengar with Body Slam, not something you see every day, but it goes down in 1. Murkrow's not going to be an issue either, and the last Pokemon is, of course, Houndoom. Will Houndoom survive? No, it won't. That's Karen defeated, and that means we can move on to Lance. So let's now get everybody up to level 50 and we'll take on Lance the Liar with sort of the Flyers, maybe? He's not really a flying type specialist in this one because he's got no types, just like us. Gonna get everybody up to level 50 and then we shall take him on. I think, once again, I'm gonna actually try and lead with Tangler. I'm really enjoying showing Tangler off to be a half-decent Pokemon, which is what it has been in this particular challenge. Plus, we have, of course, Poliwhirl as a backup if needed. So we'll swap Shoesies up to tippy top spot and we'll see how Lance goes. Now, this is all about personal vindication for Tangler. I have spent the last 2 and a bit years slagging this Pokemon off. Let's see how far through Lance we can get with it. He's going to lead, of course, with Gyarados. So the first thing we're going to do is try and send this thing to sleep. We'll set up as many growths as we can. And then we are going to attempt to sweep with Tangler. 3 growths so far. 4 is great because that means he's going to go for Rain Dance when he wakes up. We've got all of our growths off. Let's now go for Mega Drain. Doing roughly half damage, that's not bad at all. 2 shots knocks it out, we're still in green for Dragonite number 1. Thunder critical hits and we have lost Tangler, oh no. That's not great. I think we're going to go into Wily now. We are going to try, I think, a Belly Drum and sweep from here. Let's see if that is a bad idea. We've got the Thunder Wave miss. Belly Drum, Body Slam, 1 shot. 1 shot on the next Dragonite. No. Goodness me. Down to 3. I don't want to lose this Pokemon. We're going to move into Trio now, I think. Let's see what we can do. Wing Attack, critical hits as well. This is some terrible luck. We're going to be playing for the Tri-Attack status here. We've burnt it, that's fairly good. Hyper Beam takes us down to 13, but we knock it out. We're on to Charizard. It's obvious we're going to have to switch here. I think Whitney's got the speed on everything. As long as we don't get burnt, we might be able to do something. Now, do we try for the flinch, or do we go for the body slam? I think we're going to go for paralysis. It's higher damage, and it does give a chance to incapacitate this bloody Charizard. Let's just keep on body slamming now and hope we don't get burnt. We are through the Zard, we've just got Dragonite left to go. And I think we're going to have to play for the flinch again. We are probably best swapping into Bear. Fire Blast did a lot of damage there. Hyper Beam also does a lot of damage, but he is at least locked in for 2 turns. But we're not going to outspeed, so we're going to have to do the switch. We are not in a good way at the moment with our team. Hyper Beam has missed though. We might be in with a chance. A crit would be huge right about now, and we get one. We are through Lance just about. Although we did lose our Tangler. And that is the Pokemon League all done and dusted. Don't forget though, this is only the halfway point of the challenge. There's still another 8 gym badges plus a red fight left to come. So don't you dare go anywhere, because Kanto is next. And now as we rejoin the action here in Vermilion City, we're doing something I don't normally do on the Nuzlocks. We're going to have a bit of a Kanto chat, and if you do normally skip them, I would just ask that you try and sit through this one. It's not going to be too long. And I just want to talk to you all a little bit about the concept of this Nuzlocke. This is one I have been trying to do for a very, very long time. So this typeless Nuzlocke was actually supposed to be the very first video I posted when I returned back in July. That was my big plan, that was going to be my big return with a really nice long video. However, it proved to be so difficult. This isn't my first attempt at a typeless Nuzlocke, I've got countless attempts that I've since deleted. Each one of these takes up a lot of hard drive space, so I've not been able to keep the raw footage from the other ones. But most of them I would lose at Whitney, at Lance, or at Claire. Those 3 were absolutely the biggest threats, at least in the Johto portion of the challenge. And it was my struggles getting through the typeless Nuzlocke that then spurred me to create the Nuzlocke patch. I am so bad at tracking my encounters that I thought I'll just make something in-game to at least give me a leg up. And it wasn't until I started playing this typeless Nuzlocke that I realised just how much we take for granted all of the big weaknesses a lot of the key trainers have. Take Lance for instance in that last battle. We absolutely did not deserve to win that battle, we should have wiped. It was only because I've done so many of these attempts that we finally got one where all the luck fell into place in all the right places. And I will say having Poliwhirl on the team does make it fairly easy. Belly Drum, Swords Dance, and to a lesser extent Growth are the key ingredients I have found in order to make progress in a typeless Nuzlocke. If you do want to play this, by the way, it is part of the Nuzlocke patch. When you select the option to restrict your type catches, one of them will be the typeless Nuzlocke, so you can try this at home. I'm sure you'll be able to do far better than me. I'm by no means a Nuzlocke player. My brain is wired for solo challenges, so this is really a tough experience for me. And the last thing I want to mention before we rejoin the live voiceover is that while we have a lot of routes where we still have encounters free, I'm now only going to target the routes where I think there are going to be interesting Pokemon who could be viable to add to the team. So I'm thinking a Pokemon to replace Tangler, maybe another good special attacker as well, and hopefully something with a bit of special bulk to take care of Red's team as well. But now let's rejoin the action and we'll see how we get on in part 2. And now as we say thank you to Shoes for your service in the last battle, we're going to move on to Cerulean City. I'd quite like to get a Bellsprout, and I know that Bellsprout is one of the encounters up here on Route 25. So we're going to get into this patch of grass and we're going to see if we can get a Bellsprout. And the reason I want Bellsprout is because I want another growth user. This one might have slightly better speed though, so we'll use the honey jar and see what we get. And there we go, there's our Bellsprout. Obviously not going to be able to weaken this thing, we are just going to chuck Pokeballs at it and hope for the best. I think this is going to be the best play here. Of course, we do get growth straight off the bat, which is perfect. And Bellsprout does in theory have a high catch rate, so we shouldn't be in too much danger. I say that, we're already chewing through all of our Pokeballs, there we go. We have our Bellsprout, we're going to call this one Sprouty, and then we will move on to get a couple more catches. And then the only other Pokemon at the moment I'm interested in is here on Route 21. It's going to be Mr. Mime. Mr. Mime has a lot of special defense, and I think it could be a really good addition to the team. And there we go, there's our Mr. Mime. I'm just going to chuck balls at this thing. I believe it has a chance to run. and I really don't want to risk that. It doesn't have a good catch rate either though, so maybe we should have led with Jinx. Reflect is fine, we are just hoping this thing does not disappear. Meditate is also fine. Mr. Mime has a lot of setup moves actually. It's just a shame that double slap is one of its moves. It's not a good move at all. We are just hoping for the best here now. Obviously one of these balls will eventually catch it. Surely, definitely, hopefully, we will find out. I bought a lot of Ultra Balls for this occasion. Hopefully the next one will be the catch. Will 13 be our lucky number here? The answer is yes. We have caught ourselves a Mr. Mime, we're obviously going to call it Mimey, and then we can move on to start taking on some gyms. One thing to note about Mr. Mime is Light Screen and Reflect could be huge for Red, but now we're going to make our way over to Fuchsia City, where we're going to be taking on Janine. She's going to be our first Kantonian gym leader. She's the lowest level, so it makes sense. So we will find out exactly how we get on against her team of fairly mediocre Pokemon. And I think for taking on Janine, we're going to go for something a little bit quicker. Probably take the Bitter Berry off Bear, give it to our Poliwhirl, and then we will use the Belly Drum Sweep Strap for this. Just because Janine has a penchant for those pesky status moves that can really screw us over. I didn't mean to Rain Dance there, didn't mean to Body Slam either. It's all gone all kinds of wrong at the beginning of this one. Let's try that now. There we go, we're just about wrestling this battle back in our favour. Goodness me, that would have been a terrible start. I'm glad we aren't on the clock for this one. I wasted so many turns there. We are just going to sweep here. I'm going to try and avoid this strategy as much as possible because it's not the most interesting. But when you're faced with a status user like Janine, I think it is the way to go. There we go, got our Soul Badge. That is our 9th badge and our first Kantonian badge. Let's move on to another leader. And our next Kantonian leader is going to be Brock. I think he is the next one in level order, and he shouldn't be too difficult. He does, of course, have a lot of Pokemon with very weak special defense. I think we'll set up a Rain Dance, and then we'll see how we get on. We are going to get a level up here. Earthquake doesn't do much at all against us. We grow to 51, no thank you to Hydro Pump. Let's see, do we one-shot the Rhyhorn? Yes we do. Omastar's next, probably going to be a 2-shot, but I think the rain might stop here, yes. Let's set up Rain Dance against. 2-shot on Spike Cannon's perfect. Omastar goes away. Onix should be a nice and simple 1-shot. No. And he's set up the Sandstorm, of course, playing himself there. Kabutops, how are you going to do? Critical hit, and the Sandstorm's knocked us out. Oh no. I wasn't expecting this. Right, who do we go for? Probably Bear at this point. Headbutt this thing, take revenge. There we go, the Sandstorm's knocked out the Kabutops, but we have lost our Poliwhirl. I was not expecting that at all. We're going to have to go back to the Pokemon Center now and say thank you to Poliwhirl. You've been fantastic, but unfortunately, your time on this journey has come to an end. We're going to put you in box 14 with your very good friends there. So you've got Shoes, Bully, Marge and Whirly in box 14 now. And I think in its place we are going to get out Mr. Mime. Mr. Mime has the screens, they could be very handy for the red battle. So now we will get Mr. Mime and Sprouty all up to the next level and we'll head back to Goldenrod to get ourselves the Leaf Stone off Gina as well. So let's now get the Leaf Stone off Gina and we can get our Bellsprout evolved all the way up into a Victory Bell. She's complaining it took us a while, and honestly it did take us quite a while this time, so I can't really complain too much back at her there. We're going to use the Candy Jar, get Sprouty up to 50. I did all the other pre-leveling off camera to save a little bit of time, and then we will instantly go for the Leaf Stone as well, so we're getting the double evolution. So it was very short but sweet from Weeping Bell there, and now we've got Victory Bell. We get a random Rattata that we don't really care about, and we can move on into our next gym. And up next on the chopping block for the Kanto leaders is going to be Lieutenant Surge, and boy am I glad he doesn't have the trash puzzle in this gen. We're leading with Meg, let's see how we get on. I'm hoping that Meg will be fast enough to outspeed most Pokemon here. Might need to do a swap depending, and we've been paralysed. That's not a good start. Let us swap into something else now. I reckon we go for something with bulk in case it goes straight for the boom. Let us... We've got nothing here actually. I'll tell you what we can do. We can set up a light screen. We'll do a few meditates. and then we will baton pass, hopefully. And we will baton pass into Whitney. Whitney's got a lot of speed. Let us use a body slam now. That does a lot of damage. I love baton pass. It's going to one-shot the Magneton. Is it going to one-shot the other Electrode? It does, and it hits. I think we're safe now. I don't think there's anything he can do, and there isn't. So that is Surge all defeated, Thunder Badge acquired, and we can move on to get our next badge. And the next leader we're taking on is going to be Erica here in Celadon. She is only one level above Lieutenant Surge. We will be getting up to the level cap for Blue, but for now we are way ahead of these, so let's take her on. So this is Erica, formerly of the Grass type, and she's going to lead with Tangela. We are going all out special attack here because Tangela has a lot of physical defense. So one shot, thank goodness for that. Here comes Jumpluff. Ice Punch would have been 4 times super effective. We have been seeded, that is an issue. Probably going to have to switch now. I tell you what, we'll send in our Victory Bell. How about that? What are you going to do about that, Janine? We'll set up some growths. Raise Leaf, as long as it doesn't crit, should be fine. We are now going to hit her back with a critical hit. Only Bellossom left to go. Solar Beam hits fairly hard, but the sunlight has now faded. Think we should be good. She takes in sunlight and we are fine. A little bit close there, but we got through. That is our 4th Cantonian badge, 12th overall, and that means we can now take a trip over to Cerulean, where Misty's waiting for us. And now for Misty, we're going to be leading with Mr. Mime. I've plonked Headbutt in place of Encore on the learn set. There are a couple of ways we can approach this battle, and I think the way I want to do is by setting up a light screen against Golduck, so that Surf does next to nothing. Then we are going to try and set up some Meditates. Oh god, she has copied the stat boosts. Let's just try and get rid of this now. There we go. It goes away. Quagsire's next. Light screen has fallen. Let's get it back up straight away. I'm going to use another Meditate here as Rain Dance comes into play. And now let's switch out into Whitney. I'm loving the pair of Mr. Mime and Whitney at the moment. They really do have such good synergy between them. We are through Quagsire onto Lapras. Lapras is going to be big. It's going to be bulky. Surf doesn't hit us too hard though, and we 2-shot. We are potentially at risk of being knocked out by this Starmie, but instead we're just going to one-shot it. That is Misty done. 13 badges acquired, and now it's over to Saffron for Sabrina. And for Sabrina, we're going to be leading with Miltank. She's quick and has fairly good physical attack. So let's see how we get on. This is Sabrina, our 14th gym leader, and she's going to lead with that very pesky Espeon. I've put Return and Headbutt on Miltank's learn set. I think at this point Return is definitely worth it. Miltank's probably the best Pokemon to have it on as well, because obviously Miltank has a lot of speed. There's not really much point in having Return on Ursaring when Ursaring's base speed is absolutely pitiful. Just going to flinch this thing and hope that Reflect fades enough. There we go. Sabrina's very easy when she's not got a type behind her. That's the Marsh Badge acquired, and that means we're now going to go over to Seafoam for Blaine. I'm hoping Blaine won't be too difficult. Macargo might be a threat, you know, because it's got no type weaknesses and a lot of defense. We'll have to see how we get on as we engage him in battle. So this is Blaine, our 15th gym leader of the challenge, and he's going to lead with Macargo. We're leading with Jinx because she's got a lot of speed and a lot of special attack. Rockslide's going to do nothing against us this time, and here comes the Bumhead Fire Duck. It's going to be 2 shots with Psychic, but Sunny Day is going to boost Fire-type moves. We might not be weak to fire, but those Fire-type moves would have been dangerous. We got the Spin F drop though on the Rapidash, so it was all over for Blaine, and now we've only got Blue left to go. Now Blue's a really interesting one. I'm not sure how's best to play it, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get everybody up to the level cap of 58. We have earned it doing all of the Kanto badges without any candy jarring at all, and it'll be interesting to see if we get any last minute moves. Nothing on Mimey. I don't think Bear learns anything this high. I think Bear exhausted its learn set a very long time ago. Only the 6 levels on Meg. Meg was a bit of an MVP during the Kanto section here. We didn't actually see Trio at all in any of this. Kind of surprised it slipped under the radar a little bit, but that's another one we could combine with Mimey actually. We've got Sprouty for our special attacking needs, and then we've got Whitney for our fast physical attacking needs as well. I'm actually really happy with this party. I think it's one of the best we could get. Absolutely not. We're not forgetting return. Almost messed up there, and now we are almost ready to take on blue. And now, very last minute, I've changed my mind. We're going to lead with Sprouty. That's because the Pidgeot has Mirror Move, and Mirror Move could prove to be a bit of a threat. So we'll see how this one goes. This is blue, and he leads with Pidgeot. Let's start off by sending the Pidgeot to sleep. I think it needs a little bit of a nap. Will give us some extra free turns of growth as well. Hopefully enough to get us all the way up to +5 or +6. Mirror Move is fine. We will send it straight back to sleep once more. We'll finish off our growths, and then we shall try the Razor Leaf strategy. See if we can one-shot this Pidgeot, and the answer is yes. Very good start. Are we going to survive Alakazam? Yes, we are. We critical hit. Right on, we're going to risk it because it's got no special defense. Halfway through the team, we're going to risk it. Let's see, do we get the critical hit? We don't. But Hyper Beam misses, so we are through the Gyarados. There's the unnecessary crit. Executor's next. We are getting the hell out of here. Come on, Mimey, it's your time to shine. Executor's taken in sunlight. I see that as a free light screen for us. Solar Beam does next to nothing. Gonna try setting up a single Meditate and then baton passing into Trio. Trio's probably going to be our best option here. Drill Peck or Tri Attack. We're going to go Tri Attack. We've got the burn. That's perfect for us. We are doing very well so far. We've knocked it out. Arcanine is next. We're going to try Tri Attack again. Flamethrower hits quite hard. In fact, hard enough for me to think that we're going to swap into Whitney. Whitney's got a lot of physical defense behind her. She's got a lot of special defense as well, for that matter. That's what I tried to spit out there. Arcanine is down, and we are through blue with no losses. And that means we have all 16 gym badges acquired. There's only one battle left to go. Of course, to engage Red in battle, we need to get over to Mount Silver. And to get over to Mount Silver, we need to have a little chat with Professor Oak. We're going to unlock Mount Silver. He's hopefully going to have less of a whinge of us about our decks this time. And then we will plan from there. We're going to get everyone up to the high 70s. We're not going to go to 81 because Pikachu's not fully evolved. So now we've got the arduous journey of making our way over to Silver Cave. And here we are at the exterior of Silver Cave. Let's get through there to take on Red. So it's now or never. Will it be another 6 months until I get to this point, or will this be the winning one? Everyone's up to level 77. Let's see how we do. And before taking on Red, I've taken a little bit of time to think. And I reckon we're going to lead with Mimey and try and do a bit of setup that way. This is Red, and he leads with Pikachu. We are going to start with a light screen, and we're going to hope to get the Charm Dodge, or even better, the Thunder Dodge, and then we can start meditating. Going to try and get 3 or 4 turns of Meditate up, and then I think possibly Baton Pass into Whitney here, and hope we don't get paralysed. We didn't get paralysed, that should mean Headbutt will one-shot. We can move on to Pesquion. Now, Pesquion is obviously going to go for Reflect, so we'll go for Return, and it's looking like it's going to be a 2-shot. That's not bad at all. So we can move on to Snorlax, play for the flinch, I think, here. So let's start headbutting and hope for the best. We get 1 flinch, we don't get 2 flinches, but Amnesia is great. Do we get another flinch? Yes, we do. Reflect has faded. That means we can finish it off with the Return. Here comes Venusaur, just going to go straight for Return here and hope for no Sunny Day. Didn't even bother Sunny Day. That's going to make the Charizard a lot easier. We do outspeed. Flamethrower hits, takes us down to 25. We'll finish it off. We've only got Blastoise left to go. It's risky, but it doesn't really matter at this point. We're going to play for the flinch again. Or the miss. We have won. Blastoise goes down in 2 shots. And Miltank and Mr. Mime are such a good combination. And now as a credits roll, I just want to say I've had an awful lot of fun in this one. It was a very, very interesting experiment removing all the Pokemon's typings. I definitely didn't expect the M&M combo to be the absolute play at the end there though. And if you have enjoyed it, please do make sure to leave a like. If you want to see more just like this, then click the subscribe button. Any feedback, of course, leave it in the comments down below. And until next time, I'll say thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all very, very soon.